All right, so there are 2 times that you're going to flip-flop your inequality. Remember, when I'm talking inequality, I'm talking less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Okay? So instead of having an equal sign, we're going to have one of these in the center of our inequality. And we're going to solve today. And when we solve inequalities, we're literally solving them the exact same way as when we solve equations. The only thing that's different is one step, and that is what we're going to call the flip-flop step. But yesterday, we talked about one time when we're going to flip-flop our inequality symbol. Does anybody remember when you had to flip-flop your symbol around? When did we have to flip-flop our inequality symbol yesterday when we were graphing?
When the variable is like in front of the number?
Yeah. If our inequality, and how you write this is up to you as long as it gets in the flip-flop, is not in order. If the inequality is not in order, then we flip-flop. Okay, that's the first time we're going to flip-flop our inequality symbol. So, for example, what's the correct order for an inequality to be in? What should be first? The variable. So x is less than 5. That one is already okay. So remember, it's variable, symbol, number. Variable, symbol, number. Where we run into a problem is when our number is first. Okay, so we learned yesterday that what we do to this before we can graph it is we flip-flop it. So how would that look if I flip-flopped it? It's like putting a mirror up against it. Gage? Perfect. So we're going to flip-flop what we had. So that's the first time you're going to flip-flop an inequality symbol. There's only one other time you're going to do it. Okay? One other time you're going to flip-flop your inequality symbol. And this is talking about, I'm going to put on the outside, when solving an inequality. Okay? When solving an inequality. So this one we were talking about graphing. This one we're going to talk about solving. So when solving an inequality, I'm going to go ahead and write over here. This is when we were graphing. Okay, so when graphing an inequality, if it's not in the correct order, if our inequality is not in order, variable, symbol, number, then we flip-flop it. Over here, when we're solving an inequality, here's when you flip-flop it. Bless you. When you flip-flop it is when we multiply or divide by a negative number. We are going to flip-flop our inequality symbol. When we multiply or divide by a negative number, we flip-flop our inequality symbol. So I'm going to give you some examples of when we don't flip-flop We'll put them out here. We don't flip-flop when we're adding. So if you are adding, you're not going to flip-flop. We don't flip-flop when we're subtracting. We don't flip-flop with positive numbers. The only time we flip-flop is when we multiply or divide by a negative number. Okay? I'm going to do one example on my flip-flop, and then we're going to do some more examples, but I want you to put this one in your flip-flop. So let's say I am solving the inequality negative 3x is greater than 18. Negative 3x is greater than 18. Everything else about how we solve the inequality is exactly the same as when we solved equations. So we're going to start with our first step of putting our line to split our inequality in half, but this time, instead of putting our line down the equal sign, we're going to put it down the inequality sign. How would I undo this negative 3? Divide by negative 3. Okay? These are still going to cancel. That didn't change. I still bring down my variable. I still solve 18 divided by negative 3, which is negative 6. The only thing that changes is I'm going to flip-flop my inequality symbol. So where it was a greater than, it's now going to be a less than. Okay? But we only do that when we're multiplying or dividing by a negative number. So since we divided by negative 3 on both sides, we flip-flop our inequality symbol. If I had to add, I wouldn't flip-flop. If I had to subtract, I wouldn't flip-flop. If I had positive numbers, I wouldn't flip-flop. The only time I flip-flop is when I multiply or divide by a negative number.